A Ucrânia deve estar à mesa assim que houver reuniões de seguimento.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I welcome the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, to the Chancellery in Berlin for the second time in a very short period. Warm welcome. I am very pleased, Volodymyr, that we were able to conduct this together today with the video conferences, namely exactly today, August 13. This is the day of the wall's construction in 1961. Today, 64 years later, we know it was the symbol of the German and European division, and we were able to overcome this division. But for some time now, we know, for 3.5 years, the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine has reopened the wound of European division. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, now wants to initiate talks about peace in Ukraine. On Friday, he plans to meet with Russian President Putin in Alaska. Important decisions can be made in Anchorage. We Europeans are therefore doing everything in our power to set the course for this meeting in the right direction. We want President Donald Trump to succeed in Anchorage on Friday. Before the Alaska meeting, it was important for me to discuss the conditions for this meeting together with our partners in the European Union and our friends from Ukraine and America. Today, we initially coordinated extensively with our counterparts from France, the United Kingdom, Poland, Italy, and Finland, as well as Ursula von der Leyen, Antonio Costa, and Mark Rutte. Volodymyr Zelensky was involved in this coordination from the very beginning, which I greatly appreciate. We then spoke together with President Trump. We will now continue our discussions under the leadership of President Macron and Prime Minister Mustafa within the coalition of the willing. This is part of a very intense dialogue that we have conducted in the recent days, in many individual conversations and in very different formats. In Alaska, fundamental European and Ukrainian security interest must be preserved. That was the message we conveyed today as Europeans to President Trump. I can say we were very much in agreement both in our assessment of the initial situation and in the achievable goal for next Friday. We have made it clear how committed we are in Europe. Germany alone has mobilized around 40 billion euros in military aid since 2022. So far, we have put together 18 sanction packages in the European Union. We are therefore highly active in crisis diplomacy, as we want peace in Europe to be restored. We already formulated our key points among the Europeans in a joint statement on Saturday, which I personally initiated. The European Council has since adopted this statement. Our teams have discussed these points in detail with the American side over the past few days. The American president knows that if the United States is now working towards a peace in Ukraine that respects European and Ukrainian interests, then he can count on our full support. We have formulated various points for the negotiations. We have made it clear that Ukraine must be at the table as soon as there are follow-up meetings. We want the negotiations to be conducted in the right order. A ceasefire must come first. Essential elements should then be agreed upon in a framework agreement. Thirdly, Ukraine is ready to negotiate territorial issues. However, the so-called contact line must be the starting point. And legal recognition of Russian occupations is not up for discussion. The principle that borders must not be changed by force must continue to apply. Fourth, negotiations must include robust security guarantees for Kyiv. The Ukrainian armed forces must be capable and remain able to effectively defend the sovereignty of their country. They must also be able to rely on Western aid in the long term. Fifth, Negotiations must be part of a common transatlantic strategy. Then they are most likely to succeed in the end. This strategy must continue to focus on strong support for Ukraine and necessary pressure against Russia. That means if there is no movement on the Russian side in Alaska, then the United States and we Europeans should and must increase the pressure. President Trump knows this position. He grants it very broadly. And that's why I can say we had really a very constructive and good conversation with each other. We wished President Trump all the best. We agreed that he would inform Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky first, immediately after the meeting with President Putin, and then also immediately inform the European heads of state and government who are united in this initiative. There is hope for movement. There is hope for peace in Ukraine. From a common European perspective, I'm also doing everything from a German perspective to seize every opportunity to bring an end to this terrible war through diplomatic means. Thank you very much.